The letter came back marked "Forwarded" in bold red ink. I stood there in my dorm hallway, staring at the envelope I'd sent to my childhood home 2 weeks ago. My hand started shaking. Something wasn't right. My name is Cassandra, and 6 months ago, I lost both my parents in a car crash during my freshman year of college. One moment, I was stressing about midterms. The next, I was planning a double funeral. The only thing that kept me from completely falling apart was my Aunt Ava stepping in to handle everything. "Don't worry about the house, sweetheart," she'd said at the funeral, squeezing my shoulder. "I'll take care of it all while you focus on school. Your mother would have wanted that." I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She was Mum's sister, my godmother, the person who'd always brought me birthday presents and called me her favourite niece, though I was her only one. The monthly call started right after I returned to campus. "The roof needs work," she'd sigh. "The property taxes are due." Each conversation was a carefully crafted symphony of exhaustion and martyrdom. "I really don't know how much longer I can keep throwing money at this place," she told me last week. "The maintenance alone." But now I held this returned letter, and something clicked. I called my roommate Olive. "Hey, what's wrong?" she answered, probably hearing the tension in my voice. "Remember that care package I sent home? The one with Mum's old photos I wanted to keep safe?" "Yeah?" It came back, "Forwarded." I swallowed hard. "Olive, why would mail need forwarding if the house is empty?" There was a long pause. "Have you checked your bank statements? The property tax records?" No. Aunt Ava handles all that." "Maybe it's time you did." I sat down at my desk and opened my laptop. The county website was surprisingly easy to navigate. Property taxes, ownership records, utility bills. It was all there. My hands froze over the keyboard. "Olive," I whispered into the phone. "The utilities are active, all of them. Electric, water, gas. For an empty house?" She told me she had to winterize the pipes, that everything was shut off to save money. My voice cracked. "She's been lying to me." "Call her," Olive suggested. "See what she says." I did. The phone rang 3 times before Ava's familiar voice answered, warm as honey. "Cassandra, sweetheart, is everything okay?" "Hey, Aunt Ava, quick question. Is anyone checking on the house?" "Oh, Julius from next door looks in occasionally." "Why?" "Just wondering about the utilities. They're still on." A pause. Just a heartbeat too long. "Well, yes, dear. We have to maintain a minimum temperature for the pipes, you know. Wisconsin winters are brutal." "Right," I said, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. "And the water bill? Must be a mistake. I'll look into it." Another pause. "Cassandra, I know you're worried, but please trust me. I'm handling everything. Your mother..." "Don't." The word came out sharper than I intended. "Don't talk about Mom right now." After we hung up, I sat in silence, staring at the returned envelope. Mum's voice echoed in my head from years ago. "Always trust your gut, baby girl. When something feels wrong, it usually is." Olive came back from class to find me still at my desk, surrounded by printed documents and sticky notes. "What's the plan?" she asked, dropping her backpack. I looked up at her, something cold and certain settling in my stomach. "First, I'm going home for fall break, not telling Aunt Ava. And then I find out exactly what she's been doing with my house." I picked up the forwarded envelope. "Because this is just the beginning." Olive sat on her bed, watching me with concern. "You know this could get ugly, right? Family drama always does." It got ugly the moment she decided to lie to me. I started organizing the papers into a folder. She thinks I'm just a grieving college kid who's too overwhelmed to pay attention, too broken to fight back. Are you? Broken, I mean. I thought about Mom and Dad, about the last time I saw them alive. about all the moments they'd never see, the graduation they'd miss, the grandchildren they'd never meet, about Aunt Ava using my grief like a shield for whatever game she was playing. "No," I said finally, "I'm not broken, I'm angry, and Aunt Ava's about to learn that was her first mistake." The autumn wind whipped around me as I parked my beat-up Honda a block away from my childhood home. Dead leaves skittered across the sidewalk, and my hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. After a 6-hour drive from campus, I wasn't prepared for what I might find. A silver SUV sat in my driveway. My driveway. "Just breathe," I whispered to myself, grabbing my phone to text Olive. "Made it. There's a car here." Her response came instantly. "Take pictures of everything." I got out and walked slowly toward the house, trying to look like just another person out for a morning stroll. That's when I heard it. Barking. A dog. We never had a dog. The front door opened, and a woman in her late 20s stepped out holding a travel mug. She wore scrubs and was calling behind her. "Be good, Max. I'll be back at 7. I watched, frozen, as she locked the door, my door, and headed to the SUV. She noticed me standing there and smiled. "Oh, hi. Can I help you?" My mouth was dry. "I was just admiring the house. It's beautiful." "Isn't it?" She beamed. "We got so lucky finding it. The landlord keeps it in amazing shape." "The landlord?" "Ms. Ava. She's fantastic. I'm Delaney, by the way." She shifted her coffee to her other hand. "Are you looking to rent in the area?" My heart pounded. "How long have you lived here?" "About 8 months now. The rent's reasonable too. Only $1,400. In this neighborhood, that's a steal." $1,400 per month for 8 months. The numbers started multiplying in my head. "Do you mind if I ask about the application process?" I forced myself to sound casual. "My friend's looking for a place." "Oh, it was super easy. Ms. Ava handles everything through her property company. Want me to give you her number?" "That would be great." Delaney pulled out her phone and showed me a business card photo. There it was in sleek typography. AT Properties, LLC. "Thanks," I said, snapping a quick picture when she wasn't looking. "Really helpful." "No problem. Sorry, but I've got to run. Hospital shift." She hurried to her car, then called back. "If you're interested, there's an open house next week for the unit down the street. Same company." I waited until she drove away before slumping against a tree. My legs felt weak. A neighbour's door opened and I recognised Julius, who'd lived next door my entire life. His eyes widened when he saw me. "Cassandra, is that you?" "Hi, Julius." He glanced at my house, then back at me, his expression uncomfortable. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Clearly not." My voice came out harder than intended. "How long have there been tenants?" He shifted his weight. "Listen, Cassandra, I thought you knew. Ava said you'd signed the house over to her, that managing it yourself was too much with college and everything. Did she show you these papers I supposedly signed?" His face fell. "No, I just assumed." "Yeah, everyone did." I pulled out my phone and dialed Olive. "Well?" She answered immediately. "It's worse than we thought. She's running a whole property company, using my house as a rental. Holy shit, what are you going to do?" I watched another car pull into my driveway, probably Delaney's roommate coming home. "I need a lawyer, and I need to be smart about this." "Don't confront her yet," Olive warned. "Get proof first. Everything documented." "Already started." I looked at Julius, who was still standing there looking guilty. "Hey, Julius, would you be willing to make a statement about what Ava told you? About the house?" He straightened up, something like relief crossing his face. "Of course. Your parents, they were good people. This isn't right." I thanked him and started walking back to my car, my mind racing. 8 months of rent, multiple properties, a whole LLC. The betrayal went so much deeper than I'd imagined. My phone buzzed. A text from Aunt Ava. "Just checking in, sweetheart. How are classes? Don't worry about the house. I just paid the property tax. It was a bit late, but all sorted now." I stared at the message, at her casual lies, at the fake cheerfulness. My fingers typed out a response. "Thanks for handling everything, Aunt Ava. You're right. I shouldn't worry about the house at all." Let her think I was still the grieving, naive niece. Let her think she had me fooled. I started my car and took one last look at my childhood home, at the strange cars in the driveway, at the dog barking in the window. "Game on, Aunt Ava," I whispered. "Game on." "Look at this," Olive said, spinning her laptop around. We sat cross-legged on her dorm room floor, surrounded by printouts and empty coffee cups. Property taxes were paid late 4 times in the past 2 years, always in lump sums. I leaned closer to the screen. "Those payment dates, they're all right after the first of the month." "When rent would come in," Olive finished. "She's using the rental income to catch up on back taxes." My phone buzzed. A text from Leighton, my dad's old friend who ran the auto shop in town. "You're not going to believe this. Just overheard Ava showing another property to renters. She's got 3 houses now." "3?" I texted back. "How?" "All managed through her company." "Want me to keep an eye out?" "Yes, document everything." Olive was already typing furiously. "Got it. AT Properties, LLC registered 18 months ago. Public record." She turned the screen again. "Look who signed as the managing member." There was Ava's signature, bold and confident, dated just 2 months after my parents' funeral. "She planned this," I said, my voice hollow. "She was planning it while I was still picking out their caskets. There's more." Olive clicked through several tabs. "She's advertising on multiple rental sites. Your house is listed as a charming historic property with modern amenities. Monthly rent is now $1,600. My hands clenched. She raised it. As of last month. But here's the thing. She's using professional photos from when my parents listed it for sale 5 years ago. The ones my mum took. Can we prove that? The metadata's still in the image files. Date, photographer, everything." I pulled out my notebook, adding to the growing list of evidence. "What about the LLC? Is it legal?" "Technically, yes, but she's renting property she doesn't own through it. That's fraud." My phone rang. Aunt Ava. I put it on speaker. "Cassandra, sweetheart, how are you?" "Fine, just studying." "What's up?" "Oh, wonderful news. I've applied for historic status for the house. It'll help with tax breaks." Olive's eyes widened. I kept my voice steady. "Really? That's interesting. Don't you need the owner's permission for that?" A slight pause. "Well, as your guardian?" "I'm 19, Aunt Ava. You're not my guardian." Of course, but I have power of attorney." "No, you don't." My heart was pounding, but my voice remained calm. "We never filed those papers." Another pause, longer this time. "Cassandra, I'm just trying to help. Your mother would—" "I have to go. Study group." I hung up. Olive let out a low whistle. "She's getting sloppy, making mistakes." "Good." I opened my laptop, because I just found something else. We spent the next hour tracing bank records, property listings, and tax documents. Every thread we pulled revealed another lie, another scheme. Ava hadn't just stolen my house. She'd built a business on the assumption I'd never notice. My phone buzzed again. Julius, this time. Found an old recording from the summer barbecue, Ava bragging about her property empire. Want it? Yes. Send everything. Olive looked up from her research. We need to be careful here. If we spook her too early, she'll destroy evidence, I finished. I know. But look at this. I showed her the county clerk's website. There, in public records, was a lease agreement for my house. At the bottom, my signature. Forged. That's it. Olive stood up, stretching. We need a lawyer. Already on it. The university's legal clinic is helping me build a case. Free representation for students. Smart. What's next? I looked at my growing evidence file. Now we wait. Let her dig herself deeper. My phone lit up with another text from Leighton. Ava just left the hardware store, bought new locks, said something about problem tenants in the Victorian on Oak. My house, I whispered. She's changing locks on property she doesn't own, Olive said. Add it to the file. I started typing a response to Leighton when another message came through. From Delaney, the tenant. Hi, hope you don't mind. I got your number from Julius. Quick question. Did you used to live in this house? Something weird is going on with the mail. I showed Olive the message. She grinned. Perfect. The tenants are getting suspicious. Should I tell her? Not yet. But keep that line open. We might need their testimony later. I looked at my reflection in the window, seeing Mum's determination in my eyes. Aunt Ava thinks she's so clever, playing the caring aunt while stealing everything out from under me. She won't think she's clever when this is over, Olive said firmly. I nodded, adding Delaney's message to our evidence file. No, she really won't. I just don't understand why you're asking all these questions, sweetheart. Ava's voice dripped honey through the phone. The house is such a burden. I'm barely keeping up with the maintenance costs. I paced my dorm room, phone pressed to my ear, keeping my voice carefully neutral. I was thinking about coming home for a weekend, that's all. Maybe check on things. Oh, no, don't do that. The roof is being repaired, it's not safe. I caught Olive's eye across the room. She was recording the conversation, giving me a thumbs up. That must be expensive, I said. Terribly, almost $4,000 for the repairs alone. I glanced at the contractor quotes I'd gathered. The highest was $2,500. How are you paying for it? I took out a small loan. The things I do for family. She sighed dramatically. Oh, did I tell you? The historic status application is moving forward. About that, I said, gripping the phone tighter. I never agreed to... It's all handled, dear. I signed the paperwork last week. Such a relief. The tax benefits will help offset all these expenses. Olive's eyes widened. She scribbled on her notepad. Confession. She just admitted to forging documents. You signed for me? I kept my voice curious, not accusatory. Well, yes, as your proxy. It's perfectly legal given the circumstances. What circumstances? Another pause. Cassandra, are you feeling all right? You seem different lately. Just stressed about finals, I lied smoothly. Hey, quick question. Did you get the property tax notice I forwarded? It seemed urgent. What notice? Her voice sharpened slightly. Must have gotten lost in the mail. Like that care package I sent to the house. The silence stretched for 3 full seconds. I should go, dear. I have a meeting. After she hung up, Olive stopped the recording. She's getting nervous, starting to slip up. Good. I sat down at my desk, adding notes to our timeline. Because I just got an interesting email from the Historic Preservation Board. Olive leaned over my shoulder to read. Application denied due to unauthorized submission. Property owner verification required. She's running out of options, Olive said. What do you think she'll do next? As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from Leighton. Ava's here at the house, having a heated argument with Delaney about late rent. But Delaney told me she pays on time, I said, showing Olive the message. Check your email again, Olive said suddenly. The one from the tenant association. I pulled up the message. There it was. Proof that Delaney had been making payments like clockwork, but to Ava's personal account, not the LLC. She's double dipping, Olive realised, taking rent under the table and through the company. Tax fraud, I said, adding it to our list. The IRS would love to know about that. My phone lit up again. Delaney this time. Your aunt is insisting we're late on rent, but I have all the receipts. Something feels wrong. Who actually owns this house? I showed Olive the message. Time to tell her? Not yet. Let Ava dig deeper. I texted Delaney back. Keep those receipts safe. All of them. The next morning, I woke to an email from the county clerk's office. They'd found 3 more lease agreements, all with my forged signature, all notarized by the same person. Look up that notary, Olive suggested over breakfast. 5 minutes of searching revealed the truth. The notary's license had expired 6 months before the documents were signed. She's not just lying to me, I said, pushing away my untouched coffee. She's lying to everyone, the tenants, the county, the tax office, and she thinks she's untouchable, Olive added, because who would suspect the caring aunt helping her poor, grieving niece? My phone rang. Ava again. I answered on speaker. Cassandra, I've been thinking. Maybe it's time we discuss selling the house. My blood ran cold. Selling? It's too much responsibility. I found a buyer who's willing to make a cash offer. Let me guess, I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. AT, Properties wants to buy it? How did you... yes, actually. It would be simpler for everyone. I'll think about it. After hanging up, I looked at Olive. She's getting desperate. Because she knows she's losing control, Olive said. What's our next move? I opened my evidence file, now nearly bursting with documents, recordings, and testimonies. I think it's time to visit the courthouse. Winter break starts next week. And Ava? I thought about my aunt's fake concern, her calculated lies, her attempts to steal my parents' legacy piece by piece. Let her think she's winning, I said, closing my laptop, right up until she loses everything. The courthouse steps were icy as I climbed them, clutching my folder of evidence. Inside, the clerk's office smelled like old paper and coffee. Can I help you? The woman behind the counter peered at me over reading glasses. I need to see any property records filed under AT Properties LLC. I slid my ID across the counter. And anything related to this address. 20 minutes later, I sat at a research table, staring at a document that made my hands shake. A deed transfer, dated 3 months ago, with my forged signature. Ava had tried to transfer my house to her company. Excuse me, I called to the clerk. Was this deed ever registered? She checked her computer. No, it was rejected due to improper notarization. I took photos of everything, then headed to my next stop, the local bank where my parents had kept their safety deposit box. The one Ava didn't know about. The bank manager recognized me immediately. Cassandra! My goodness, you look just like your mother. Thanks, Mr. Roberts. I need to access my parents' box. Inside, I found what I was looking for. The original deed, my parents' will, and property insurance documents, all listing me as the sole owner. My phone buzzed. Delaney again. Your aunt just showed up demanding December's rent early, said she needs it for emergency repairs. I texted back, don't give her anything. Send all future payments to this address. I included the details of the new P.O. box I'd opened that morning. Next came a message from Julius. You need to hear this. Attached was an audio file I put in my earbuds. Ava's voice came through clearly. Practically gave me the house. Poor thing's too overwhelmed with college to care. By the time she figures it out, it'll be too late. I forwarded the recording to my lawyer at the university clinic. His response was immediate. This is exactly what we needed. Ready to proceed whenever you are. Back at my car, I called Olive. The deed transfer failed, but she tried. That's attempted fraud. Perfect. What about the tenants? Already handled. New payment instructions sent. Once those checks start coming in my name instead of hers. She'll lose it, Olive finished. That's the plan. I drove to Leighton's shop next. He was under a car when I arrived, but rolled out immediately when he heard my voice. Got something for you, he said, wiping his hands on a rag. Ava's been asking around about quick sales, cash buyers, even mentioned something about overseas investors. She's planning an escape route, I realised, and there's more. He lowered his voice. She's been moving furniture out of her house. Small stuff, but expensive pieces. My sister works at the consignment shop where she's been selling it. I added this to my notes. Can your sister make a statement about the sales? Already done. Emailed it to you this morning. Back in my car, I checked my email. 3 new messages. 1 from the tax assessor's office confirming my ownership. 1 from my lawyer with draft cease and desist papers. And 1 from Ava. Darling, we need to talk about the house. I've had several offers. Call me ASAP. Instead of calling, I drove past my house. 2 moving trucks were parked outside. New tenants for the upstairs apartment, according to Delaney's latest text. My phone rang. Julius. Cassandra, she's here, talking about selling the house next week. Says she has papers ready for your signature. Let her talk, I said. Record everything. She's drinking wine on my porch, bragging about some property empire she's building. Should I keep her talking? The more she says, the better. I was about to hang up when a car screeched into my hotel parking lot. Ava's red Mercedes. She stormed toward me, face flushed. Why are the tenants suddenly sending checks to a P.O. box? What have you done? I stayed calm, phone still recording. Hello, Aunt Ava. Funny meeting you here? Don't play games with me. I've done everything for you. Managed your property, protected your interests. By forging my signature, by stealing rent money. Her face went white. You ungrateful little... Everything okay here? A police cruiser had pulled up, the officer watching us carefully. Fine, Ava said quickly, plastering on a smile. Just a family discussion. The officer nodded, but didn't drive away. We'll talk later, Ava hissed, retreating to her car. I watched her speed away, then texted Olive. She knows something's wrong. Time to move faster. Be careful, Olive replied. Cornered animals bite hardest. I looked at my phone, at the growing evidence file, at the officer still watching protectively from his cruiser. Let her bite, I whispered. I've got stronger teeth. I can explain everything, Ava said, pacing my dorm room. She'd shown up unannounced, tears streaming down her face. You have to understand, I was trying to protect you. I pressed record on my phone, hidden in my pocket. Protect me how? The house was drowning in debt. The taxes, the repairs. She dabbed her eyes with a tissue. I had to do something. Like rent it out? Yes, exactly. She grabbed my hands. The rental income saved us. Saved you. How much did you make from the rentals? Barely enough to cover expenses. She sniffled. Maybe a few hundred a month. Lie. I had the bank records showing thousands. What about the other properties? I kept my voice neutral. The Victorian on Oak? She froze. How did you... And the duplex on Maple? The townhouse on 3rd Street? Those are separate, my business ventures. Using my house as collateral? Her tears dried instantly. Who have you been talking to? The county clerk's office, the tax assessor, your tenants. You had no right. It's my house, Aunt Ava, my inheritance. She straightened up, her mask slipping. You're just a child. You have no idea how the real world works. I know, forging signatures is illegal. I did that for you. And the second mortgage you took out in my name. Her face went pale. How did you? Bank records? Amazing what they'll show you when you're the legal owner. She grabbed her purse. This conversation is over. No, it's not. Sit down. Something in my voice made her pause. The rental income, I said calmly. Where did it go? Property maintenance, obviously. Try again. I pulled out my phone, playing the recording from her conversation with her bank. You used it to pay off your gambling debts. She lunged for the phone. I stepped back. Delete that. Like you deleted the security footage of you changing the locks, or the emails from tenants with their rent receipts. You little... She caught herself. Cassandra, please. We can work this out. I'm family. Family doesn't steal from family. I can pay you back. With what money? The cash you've been moving offshore. Her eyes widened. Who told you? Your banker. He's very chatty when presented with evidence of fraud. A knock at the door made us both jump. Olive entered, followed by my lawyer from the university clinic. Ms. Thornton, he said formally, I am representing your niece in this matter. Ava's face hardened. She doesn't need representation. This is a family issue. Criminal fraud is hardly a family issue. He opened his briefcase. We have documented evidence of multiple felonies, including forgery, theft, and tax evasion. You're bluffing. The FBI doesn't bluff about wire fraud. He laid out documents on my desk. Shall we discuss the international transfers? Ava grabbed her coat. I don't have to listen to this. Actually, I said, you do. Because in about an hour, the sheriff will be serving you with papers, and not just eviction notices. You wouldn't dare. Try me. She looked around wildly, like a trapped animal. I'll tell everyone what an ungrateful brat you are, how you turned on your own aunt. Go ahead. I nodded to Olive, who was still recording. Add slander to the charges. Your mother would be ashamed of you. That hit hard, but I didn't flinch. My mother would be ashamed of you, using her death to steal from her daughter? I'm leaving. She yanked open the door. One more thing, I called after her. The Historic Preservation Board, they're very interested in the forged applications. Apparently, that's a federal offence. She slammed the door so hard the walls shook. My lawyer gathered his papers. That went well. She admitted to multiple crimes on recording. Will it be enough? Olive asked, combined with our other evidence. More than enough. He checked his watch. The sheriff should be at her house now with the court orders. I sank into my chair, suddenly exhausted. What happens next? She'll be served with multiple notices. Eviction from your property, cease and desist on all rental activities, and a court summons for the criminal charges. And the house? Is safely yours. I've already filed injunctions preventing any property transfers or new leases. After he left, Olive hugged me. You okay? I looked at my phone, buzzing with messages from Delaney, Julius, and Leighton, all reporting that sheriff's deputies had arrived at various properties. No, I said honestly, but I will be. She's not getting away with this, Olive said firmly. No, I agreed, watching another text come in, this one from the sheriff himself. She's really not. I sat in my car across from my childhood home, watching the sheriff's cruiser pull into the driveway. Ava's Mercedes was already there, along with 2 other cars I didn't recognise. Probably her lawyer and real estate agent, desperately trying to salvage something from the wreckage. My phone buzzed. Olive. Everything okay? About to be, I texted back. Sheriff Russell, a tall man with grey hair and steady eyes, approached the front door. 2 deputies flanked him. He knocked firmly. Ava answered, her designer outfit and perfect makeup a stark contrast to her panicked expression. Can I help you? Miss Thornton? He held out a yellow envelope. You're being served with an immediate eviction notice and criminal complaint. This is ridiculous. She tried to close the door. The sheriff's boot blocked it. Ma'am, you need to take these documents. I have rights. This is my property. Actually, I said, walking up the driveway, it's mine. Ava's face contorted. You set this up. No, Aunt Ava, you set yourself up. The sheriff handed her another document. This is a court order freezing all assets related to AT Properties, LLC. You can't do this, she turned to her lawyer, who was looking increasingly uncomfortable. Tell them, he shook his head. Miss Thornton, I advised you last week to cease all property operations. You didn't listen. The FBI's Financial Crimes Unit is very interested in those offshore transfers, I added quietly. Her real estate agent slipped away to her car. Smart woman. You have 30 minutes to collect essential personal items, Sheriff Russell said. Then you need to vacate the premises. Where am I supposed to go? That's not our concern, Ma'am. Ava turned to me, tears starting again. Cassandra, please, we can work something out. I'll pay it all back. Like you paid back the second mortgage, or the credit cards you opened in my name? Her tears vanished. You ungrateful little witch. I gave up everything to help you. Help me? I pulled out my phone. Should we play the recordings again? The ones where you brag about stealing my inheritance? Deputies, the sheriff called, please escort Miss Thornton inside to collect her belongings. I watched as they led her in, her protest echoing through the house that had once held so many happy memories. Delaney appeared on the porch. Is it true, everything she did? I nodded. I'm sorry you got caught in the middle of this. Don't be, we had no idea. She hesitated. What happens to us now? You can stay until your lease ends. New rental agreement directly with me. No more dealing with Ava or her company. Relief flooded her face. Thank you. Leighton's truck pulled up. He got out with Julius, both looking grimly satisfied. Just got word, Leighton said. Sheriff's deputies are serving papers at the other properties too. The whole scheme's coming down. Ava emerged with a small suitcase, the deputies close behind. She stopped when she saw everyone watching. You're all going to regret this, she spat. I'll sue every one of you. With what money? Julius asked calmly. The money you stole? The money you gambled away? Or the money you tried to hide overseas? The FBI has some questions about that, Sheriff Russell added. They'll be in touch very soon. Ava's lawyer touched her arm. Don't say another word. Let's go. She yanked away from him. This house belongs to me. I put everything into it. No, I said firmly. You took everything from it. There's a difference. The deputies moved closer. Sheriff Russell's voice hardened. Ms. Thornton, leave now or we'll add resisting a court order to your charges. Finally, her shoulders slumped. Without another word, she got into her Mercedes and drove away. The sheriff turned to me. You'll need to change the locks, and I'd recommend installing security cameras. Already ordered, Leighton said. I'll install them myself. I looked at my house. My house, finally and truly mine again. Thank you, all of you. Your parents would be proud, Julius said quietly. Standing up for yourself like this. My phone buzzed. Olive. Well? I texted back. It's done. She's gone. Then I walked up to my front door, took out my old key, the one Ava never knew I'd kept, and went inside. The house smelled different, felt different, but underneath it all was still home. Another text from Olive. You okay? I looked around at the rooms that held my childhood, at the walls that had witnessed both love and betrayal, and typed, No, but I will be, because this time justice won. The The certified letter arrived during finals week. I recognised Ava's lawyer's firm on the return address. "She's counter-suing," Olive said, watching me open it. "Just like you predicted." I scanned the documents and started laughing. "What's funny?" "She's claiming emotional distress and defamation. Says I maliciously damaged her reputation by exposing her crimes." "Can she do that?" "She can try." I pulled out my phone to call my lawyer. "But I've got something she doesn't know about." He answered on the first ring. "I assume you received the lawsuit?" "Yes. Time to use the recording?" "Absolutely. I'll file our counter-response today." I hung up and turned to Olive. "Remember that conversation I had with her banker? The one where he admitted helping her hide money?" "He didn't just admit it. He gave me proof. Documentation of every transfer, every hidden account. He's turning state's evidence to save himself." My phone buzzed. Delaney. "FBI agents just left. Showed them everything about the rent payments and fake leases." Another text from Julius. "Federal investigators went through Ava's house today. Found shredded documents in her fireplace. They're reconstructing them." "It's all falling apart for her," Olive said. "Good." I started packing my bag. "Ready for a road trip?" 2 hours later, we pulled into my driveway. Leighton was installing the last security camera. "Perfect timing," he called down from the ladder. "Wait till you see inside." The house smelled like fresh paint and furniture polish. The living room walls were now a soft grey, my mother's favourite colour. "Delaney and her roommates helped," Leighton explained. "Said it was the least they could do." I ran my hand along the wall. "It's perfect. There's more," he said, leading us to the kitchen. "Look what we found behind the cabinet Ava installed." There, in a small alcove, was my mother's old recipe box, the one that had disappeared after the funeral. "She couldn't even let me have this," I whispered, opening it. Inside were all the handwritten cards: Sunday pot roast, birthday cake, Christmas cookies. "But now you do," Olive said firmly. My phone rang, the lawyer again. "Great news," he said. "The FBI just froze all of Ava's accounts. They found evidence of tax evasion going back 5 years." "Before my parents died?" "Yes. This wasn't just about your inheritance. It was a pattern." After hanging up, I sat at the kitchen counter, the same spot where I'd done homework while Mum cooked. "Want to know something weird?" I said to Olive. "I thought getting revenge would feel better, more satisfying." "Doesn't it?" "No. It feels..." I searched for the words. "It feels like finally locking a door that should have been locked ages ago." A knock interrupted us. Sheriff Russell stood in the doorway. "Thought you should know," he said. "Ava was just arrested trying to board a flight to the Cayman Islands." "Let me guess, one-way ticket?" He nodded. "She's facing federal charges now, no bail." After he left, Olive and I went up to my old bedroom. The walls still held traces of the butterfly stickers I'd loved as a kid. "You going to stay here?" she asked, "after graduation?" "No." I looked out the window at the maple tree where Dad had built my treehouse. "But I'm not selling either. This house deserves better tenants, better memories." "Like Delaney?" "Like Delaney. And maybe someday, when I'm ready, I'll come back. But not yet." My phone buzzed one last time. An email from Ava's lawyer. She was withdrawing her lawsuit. "Smart move," Olive said, reading over my shoulder. "She's got bigger problems now." I closed my email and opened Mum's recipe box instead. On top was her signature chocolate chip cookie recipe, the edges worn from use. "Want to make cookies?" I asked Olive. "In your kitchen? With your Mum's recipe?" "Yeah." I smiled, really smiled, for the first time in what felt like forever. "I think it's time this house smelled like home again." As we gathered ingredients, I thought about Ava sitting in her jail cell, about all her schemes crumbling, about justice finally being served. But mostly I thought about Mom. about how she always said the best revenge was living well. "You know what?" I said, measuring flour into a bowl. "Mum was right." "About what?" "Everything." I cracked an egg just like Mum had taught me. But especially about karma. It always comes around. The kitchen filled with the smell of vanilla and melting chocolate, erasing the last traces of Ava's presence. Outside, the maple tree swayed in the breeze, its leaves whispering secrets only this house would ever know.